Hi guys, I am Antonio Jose de Lecana and I'll be talking about Max Weber and his social action theory. So, who exactly is Max Weber? Max Weber was a 19th century German sociologist, historian, jurist, and political economist regarded as one of the founding fathers of sociology. Weber was born on April 21, 1864, at Erfurt, Germany. After finishing secondary school, Weber went to Berlin where he obtained a degree in law and a doctorate in political economy. By 1896, when he was just 29 years old, he was appointed as a professor in economics at the University of Freiburg before moving on to teach political economy and economics at the University of Heidelberg. He then took a break from teaching and traveled around Europe before writing The Protestant Ethic in the Spirit of Capitalism and accepting an editorship of a sociological publication in 1903. He died on June 14th, 1920 at Munich, Germany. So the following are some of the major publications of Max Weber. So Weber saw both structural and action approaches as necessary to developing a full understanding of society and social change. So Weber's extensive contribution to society or sociology can be condensed into 3 points. Firstly, he argued that verstehen or empathic understanding is crucial to understanding human action and social change, a point where he emphasized in his classic study, The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. Second, he believed we could make generalizations about the basic types of motivation for social action. And thirdly, he argued that structure shaped human action because there are certain societies or groups encouraging certain general types of motivation. So that final point can be illustrated by a quote from one of his most important works, Economy and Society, which is the main source for what I'm tackling right now. First published in 1920, in which he said, sociology is a science concerning itself with interpretive understanding of social action and thereby casual explanation of its course and consequences. Now let's move on to social action and verstehen. Weber argued before the cause of an action could be ascertained, you had to understand the meaning attached to it by the individual. So he distinguished between two types of understanding. So Weber named these types in German. So I'm not good at pronouncing in German. Thus, let's ask the help of Google for the pronunciation. So first, he referred to
Aktuelles Verstehen.
or direct observational understanding, where you just observe what people are doing. So, for example, you can observe someone chopping wood, or you can even ascertain with reasonable certainty someone's emotional state from their body language or facial expression. However, observational understanding alone isn't sufficient to explain social action. The second type of understanding is
Eklarandes Verstehen.
or empathic understanding, in which sociologists must try to understand the meaning of an act in terms of the motives that have given rise to it. This type of understanding would require you to find out why someone is chopping wood. Are they doing it because they need firewood? Are they just clearing a forest as part of their job? Are they working off anger just doing it because they enjoy it? To achieve this, Weber argued that you had to get into the shoes of the people doing the activity. So now let's move on to the main topic for this discussion, which is the social action theory. So, as we all know, social action theory was developed by German sociologist Max Weber, who, with this theory, pursued to highlight the importance of human behavior as it relates to cause and effect in the social sphere. So, according to Weber, human beings adapt their actions according to social contexts and how these actions affect the behavior of others. Social action can trigger means and ends of social actors and social interaction who want to achieve something specific. For example, a company organizes activities or assigns or designates an activity or a task for each individual and assigns a different role to each employee, but each action performed by employees is connected to each other in order to keep the organization going. The responsibilities and rules that employees take on help the social action to be organized, and these individuals interact with each other in the organization in order to deliver the results that the social or the organizational hierarchy wants. The essence of this theory can be summarized by the following sentence: the actions of others develop one's own behavior. So, in his work, Economy and Society, Max Weber mentions four social forms or like four forms of social action. First, traditional social action. These are actions which are results of traditions and customs and which are performed in certain situations. So, an example of which is having lunch with the family every Sunday. So, these traditional actions can become a cultural reference. Tradition is divided into two subgroups: customs and habits. A custom is a practice that is familiar, normally done, and popularized within the culture. Habit, on the other hand, is something that is learned little by little, and sometimes something becomes normalized in everyday life and even becomes attached to a person's personality. The next form of social action is affective social action, also known as emotional action, where the human being acts impulsively and does not necessarily think about consequences. Crying at a funeral is an example of affective social action. So, this is a real life example of me crying at a funeral. So, this social action is divided into two subgroups: uncontrolled reaction and emotional tension. In the uncontrolled reaction, the person takes less account of the feelings of others and puts the feelings of the person, him or they, depending on your pronouns, as the main focus. Emotional tension is the frustration that a person may have when not fulfilling his or her aspirations, and it is where the internal tension creates dissatisfaction. Third is rational social action with values. Rational action is characterized by moral or ethical principles that are implemented collectively for the good of the society. Therefore, the rational action is guided by ideology or collective ethics. An example that is already self explanatory, I don't need to explain, is religion. And lastly, the fourth form of social action is rational instrumental social action. So these are actions that are carried out in order to achieve a specific result. So here's a real life example for this. Ella wants to study medicine. However, she is aware that she has to take a rigorous exam and obtain exemplary grades in order to be able to go to college and study what she wants to study. The future exams and grades she needs to obtain makes Ella study every day in order to obtain her goal, which is to study medicine. If we take this life example into account, we can understand Ella's desire to achieve her goal and what she has to do in order to achieve it. Ella then applies instrumental social action because each step she takes to achieve her goal will bring positive or negative consequence depending on how she carries out the process. In this case, the process or her process is one of discipline and study. For Max Weber, social action is influenced by the past, present, and future. Therefore, social action has, as a result, undergoes changes of some kind over time. Social action can be constantly evolving as times change, and human behavior can develop, improve, modify, or change. Social action cannot be isolated as it needs the behavior of human beings and how they can influence other people's behavior within their social structure in a particular way. So here ends my discussion on Max Weber and his social action theory. And let me end my discussion with a quote. This may not be related to our discussion today, but it's related to the May 2022 elections. So Max Weber said in one of his writings, "For those who most frequently think themselves as leaders, often qualify least as leaders." So again, thank you guys for listening to my report, and have a great day.